Hey everyone, this is WobblyWallaby, and today I'll be going through the ancient equipment garment, accessories, and footgear for Novice Guardians. This equipment will be examined from a PvE perspective for the Car Tornado build. Which ones are the best and what alternatives are there? Stay tuned to find out. In this video, I'll be covering 1. Obtaining ancient equipment, 2. Damage testing methodology, 3. Baseline stats and gear, 4. Garments, 5. Footgears, 6. Accessories, and 7. Comparison to the build guide. If you're interested in the best ancient equipment armor, you can watch this past video, which will be in the description. For offhand, the best is the Dragonbone shield, so there's nothing to compare for that. Next is obtaining ancient equipment. You get this new equipment from doing the instance Exploring the Lost Isles. Novice level won't give you random attributes, so I wouldn't recommend doing this. You definitely want the ones from the Warrior difficulty or the Epic Spirit difficulty. Epic Spirit difficulty gives you an additional random attribute that helps you in GVG. However, this doesn't apply to PvE, so it's not necessary to suffer through this if your party is unable to clear this efficiently. Alternatively, you can do the daily Soul Hunting Grounds quests to get 4 tokens. After you get 80, you can claim an ancient equipment of your choice. Next is the damage testing methodology. A warning for all damage test results is that it can vary depending on your character and what your target is. I'm providing some general guidelines on what you should do, and sometimes it will differ depending on how your character is set up. For my target, I use the home dummy. I use demi-human, large, water, and MVP. I vary the dummy strength to increase reductions to simulate harder bosses or to simulate legend level instances. In situations where I do not have the maximum random attribute, it is simulated with other gear and cards. I also use clean gear without any enchants to avoid variations. Next are baseline stats and gear. For food, I'm using a Strength B meal with 6 satisfied feasts for the penetration percentage. I use the Strength build since I don't have the Mastering Star card. My attack is around 21,000. My move speed is at 243%. For attributes, I have 397 strength. My penetration is at 52%. My skill damage percentage doesn't show up here because I'm not wearing all the gear. My damage percentage is at 123.7%. My physical damage increase is at 88.1%. My wind damage is at 55%. Next, my adventure handbook is at 2,309 attack and 43% attack deposit. Here's the rest of my adventure handbook. Next is my gear that gave me those stats. First for offhand is the Dragonbone shield with 18% physical damage increase with the Marrow Roland card. This is the standard one that NoGus use. Next for armor, I use the Truth Expositor with 24% attack with the Heart card. This armor is the best one that I have, but sadly I haven't gotten any with the 20% damage to large monsters. For weapons, I use the plus 12 Destroyer's War Axe. I use 2 Menorah Star cards. For face, I use the Epic Spirit Lightning for the extra wind damage. For mouth, I use the Huge Bounty for MVP damage. For back, I use the Love Goddess for the 10% final damage. For tail, I use the Rock Bunny for move speed and damage to MVP monsters. For Ancient Relic, I use the Ways Size. And here's my advanced ruin configuration. All my minor ruins are at level 15. First, let's take a look at garments. For garment, the best is the Brave Warrior's Pauldron for the Brave level, or Leader's Pauldron for the Legend level. Ideally, you have the 12% skill damage, but even the 8% skill damage is good. NoGus used to use the White Duke's Manteau for the skill damage. For a plus 12, you would get 5% skill damage and 3% attack. If you get an 8% skill damage or higher, then use the Ancient Equipment. For this test, I'll show the 0% dummy since the results will be the same for various dummy strengths. With my plus 12 White Duke's Manteau, I do 88.5 million damage. I switch to my plain Leader's Pauldron with 8% skill damage. I hit for 89.1 million damage, which is higher than the 88.5 million damage from before. If you have a plus 15 White Duke's Manteau, which will give you 8% skill damage, you need the random attribute to be 12% skill damage to be strictly better. All the NoGus that I used to follow that had the plus 15 White Duke's Manteau has switched to this Ancient Equipment with the plus 12 skill damage random attribute. Since the skill damage is the most important part of this garment, the next best option is the Classic Robe or Classical Robe. You won't get the plus 10 strength, but you have a chance to get skill damage. If this option does show up when opening chests, you should choose this so you have a higher chance to get the plus 12% skill damage random attribute. Next is Footgears. There are two Footgears to compare. At the Brave level, it is the Dragon Slayer Warp Boots versus the Overlord Warp Boots. The old Footgear have been replaced by these new Ancient Equipment, so I won't go into comparisons with them. At Refined 15, the Dragon Slayer's Warp Boots can give 12% attack and potentially physical penetration plus 6%. The plus 15 Overlord Warp Boots can potentially give you 12% physical damage increase. This one is a bit harder to predict, so a damage test is important. The Legend level for these boots are the Loon's Memorial and the Dominator Warp Boots. For this damage test, I'll need to use my headwear. Right now it has no cards. My Dragon Slayer Warp Boots has 6% penetration and has no enchants. I'm using the Chon card for the plus 2 strength, which I need later on for a fair comparison. I start with a 0% dummy. The damage is at 102.5 million. Next, I change the dummy to 50% strength. The damage is at 57.7 million. Next, I change the dummy strength to 80%. The damage is 7.2 million. Next, I compare with the Dominator Warp Boots. I don't have a physical damage plus 6%, so I need to simulate this. I use the Blue Wolf's card to give plus 2 strength and physical damage plus 2%. This is why I used the Chon card before to offset the plus 2 strength. I use the 0% dummy. The damage is at 100.2 million. Next, I change the dummy to 50% strength. The damage is at 54.7 million. Next, I change the dummy to 80% strength. The damage is at 7.9 million. Here's the summary. The plus 15 Dragon Slayer War Boots is better in general, and this is what I see most of my NoGu friends use. The 80% strength dummy does favor the plus 15 Overlord War Boots, so there are some certain situations where it is potentially better. Personally, I would always choose the Dragon Slayer War Boots first, and as a second choice, you can choose the Overlord War Boots. Next are accessories. There are two accessories to compare. This is based on the two that I've seen many of my friends use. At the Brave level, it is the Pendant of Ugin and the Gold Earring. Almost everyone I know has replaced their old accessories with these new ones, so I'm not going to compare them. I also don't have plus 15 accessories to compare with either. At Refine 15, the Pendant of Ugin can give 12% melee attack and potentially 4.5% physical damage increase. At Refine 15, the Gold Earring can give 100 attack and potentially 4.5% physical penetration. This is also one that's harder to predict, so a damage test is important. The legend level for these accessories are the Steel Ambition and the Diamond Earring. I don't have max random attributes for both of my accessories, so I need to get the extra 1.5% random attributes by using other accessories. I use the Void Crystal and the Heirloom Greystone. Void Crystal has 8 strength and 8 dex, which affects NoGu's damage, so I need to offset that with the Heirloom's Greystone. Agility does not affect NoGu's damage, so there's no need to offset that. I use the plus 3 Archer's Hat to get the plus 8 dex, and I use 2 Kobold cards to give plus 8 strength. As a result, the Void Crystal will be the same as the Heirloom Greystone, and only the random attributes will affect the damage. Now I'll show myself equipping that gear for the damage test for the Gold Earring. I use the 0% dummy first. The damage is at 95.5 million. Next, I change the dummy to 50% strength. The damage is at 54.3 million. Next, I change the dummy to 80% strength. The damage is 8.1 million. Next, I switch to my clean Steel Ambition. I equip the Void Crystal to get the extra 1.5% physical damage increase. I use the 0% dummy. The damage is at 96.7 million. Next, I change the dummy's strength to 50%. The damage is 53.9 million. Next, I change the dummy to 80% strength. The damage is at 7.98 million. For my character, the Pendant of Ugin wins for 0% strength. However, for 50% and 80% strength, the Gold Earring wins. This is because of the penetration percentage. If you're using the Pendant of Ugin, you may want to consider rolling for the Gold Earring and seeing what you can get. If you don't get penetration percentage, it will be really bad. I would recommend rolling for this after you've got a good Pendant of Ugin first. There is one non-ancient equipment accessory that I'd like to discuss. Fox Teeth gives the unique skill Speeding Up. At Refine 10, it will give you move speed plus 100% for 5 seconds. This accessory itself doesn't have great damage. So how can I take advantage of this skill Speeding Up and also the new ancient equipment? The solution is to use item switching. To set this up, I first equip my weaker accessory. Then I equip my stronger one. In my item hotbar, I had the weaker accessory, followed by fox teeth, followed by the stronger one. I can swap between the weaker accessory and fox teeth. I set the dummy strength to 0%. I start off with fox teeth with speeding up, and I hit it for 110.9 million damage. Next I swap in my weaker accessory. I hit it for 102.8 million damage. This time I'll do an item swap. After casting speeding up, I immediately switch to my ancient equipment accessory and hit it for 114.7 million damage. This is the highest damage I can achieve with speeding up. Also, if speeding up isn't active, then Fox Teeth's damage will be much worse than the ancient equipment. And seriously, it's not that much trouble. Here I am doing the Lost Isle Legend with my friends from Zenith. I'm able to do item swapping during this instance. Once I see the speeding up cooldown, I swap to my other accessory. Every now and then I will switch back just to see if the cooldown has finished. Next is the comparison to the build guide. Thanks to my wife Fiery Fairy for pointing this out, as I didn't realize this was revamped. You can access the build guide from the assistant. You can see various builds for different levels. The novice stuff really isn't that good, so I wouldn't use that. People that are new to the game really shouldn't play NoGu. This class will be really bad if you do not have the required third line ruins. So let's just look at the PvE for level 150 to 170. For offhand, I would agree that the Dragonbone Shield is the best. For Dragon Scale Armor, I agree that if you get the 20% damage to large monsters, it is one of the best. For Legend difficulty though, the Dream Eater's Disguise with the 20% wind damage is better. Next, I agree with the Brave Warrior's Pauldron, but you do need 8% skill damage or higher. Next for footgear, I would recommend the Dragon Slayer's War Boots instead, since the 6% penetration is quite good in general. This is also the one that I see used more frequently. For accessories, I'd say the Pendant of Ukin is a good choice with the 4.5% physical damage increase. This is the safer bet, but if you're really lucky, then I'd go for the Gold Earring for the penetration percentage. Overall, I'd say these build guides are quite good, although there's a lot of notes and details that are missing from this. And that's where videos like this come in. You can also see the PvP versions if you're curious. I hope you got a better idea of which ancient equipment to use for your Novice Guardian. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe.